Welcome to the Story Learning Podcast, regular doses of language learning tips and motivation to help you become fluent in any language. With me, Olly Richards. For language programs, books, free resources, and much more, visit StoryLearning.com.
Good morning, everybody. Welcome back to the I Will Teach You a Language podcast. Thanks for tuning in. Today, what I thought I would do is offer a few personal thoughts on the reaction from everybody to conversations. Now, if this is your first time listening to the podcast, this is not going to mean much to you at all, so I suggest you skip back a few episodes or forward an episode. But to catch you up, in case you've been on a hiatus, we recently finally launched conversations to the world. Well, not to the world, to you guys, listeners to the podcast and subscribers to my email newsletter. And the reaction from everybody has really, it's actually changed the way that I think about everything I do. It's had a huge impact on me, and I want to just talk about that today and give you a few personal reflections on it. Because, for me, this has, on this podcast, I answer questions. I talk about language learning. I help out where I can. But there's been something about this project which it makes me feel the need just to talk about stuff from the heart a little bit more. And kind of vent and just basically tell you guys what's going on, because it means a lot to me, and it's been over a year of work to put all this together. And so I kind of feel like if I don't take a bit of time to talk about what I'm, my thoughts and feelings around this whole project, I'm really not doing myself justice. And so I wanted to do that today. Thank you for your patience with this. I've been talking a lot about it. I've dedicated at least 4 podcast episodes to the general topic. Every time I do talk about this stuff, I always try to actually teach you something, add some value somehow, so that, whether or not you're a conversations customer, hopefully from all this noise, it still helps you. And, we've been talking about listening skills, improving your listening. And so I hope that from the various conversations that we've been having about conversations, that it's made you at least reflect on how you listen, struggles that you might have with your listening skills. And ultimately, if it gets you to reflect, then that is half the battle, because reflection is so important for learners, for teachers, and all that stuff. So I've also been sending you a lot of emails. Thank you for your patience with that. What I find with email is that, if you are one of the people who will read every email that I send, then you will have felt inundated by email over the last week. However, what I have found is that most people don't check their email all that often, actually. And so, for example, that I know for a fact that there are people who have been waiting for conversations for the last year, for as long as I've been talking about it. And they did pick up a copy of Conversations, but they only did it on the last day, which was when I'm recording this, it's a couple of days ago. And it's because people don't look at their email all that much, or they're busy, or, it's Thanksgiving or whatever. And so I have to send out a lot of emails around this time, because otherwise what happens is people miss it. And then I get emails the week after saying, "Oh, I didn't see the email." So, it's me trying to make sure that everybody who is interested in getting involved gets the message. But I do appreciate that for those of you who do like to read my emails and follow what I do, it can be a bit much. So thanks for your patience with that. I appreciate it. We are going back now to 100% awesome content, language learning content in the emails. So don't stop opening my emails, because you'll be missing a lot more great stuff. So, wow, I have been absolutely blown away by the reaction to Conversations. You will know, if you've been following me, that I've released a number of courses before. Most of the courses that I've released have been, I try to teach you how to learn a language. Either I teach you about a language learning method, or I teach you how to learn vocabulary, things that help you go about language learning. But this is the first time that I've done something which is actually aimed at improving a specific skill. Now, I do, of course, have my series of graded readers. I don't sell them on my platform. They're all on Amazon, so I kind of treat them as slightly different, although in many ways they're not. So they're all part of the same thing. But with conversations, it really is a big departure for me from the courses where I kind of teach you how to learn a language, and that's why I was pretty nervous to see what the reaction would be, because as I was saying to a friend of mine the other day, with language learning material, straight away whether you like it or not. There's nowhere to hide. If you're taking one of my how to learn a language courses, you have to kind of take my word for it, really. If I say to you, look, here's a good way to study, you just have to say to yourself, well, all right, I have to trust you on that. But it's different with actual material. When I put material in front of you, you either like it or you don't. You have used language material before. You've used textbooks. You've used other stuff. So for me to produce this material, really, I felt quite brave doing it, actually, I have to say, because there's nowhere to hide, and I know that you will judge it alongside everything else. And in the Facebook group, I know many of you are in the Facebook group, people will go and they will leave their honest reactions, and I just have to take it on the chin. If you guys don't like it, I will hear about it and you will say so, and that's the way it should be, right? But for that same reason, it's what kind of made me nervous about the project, and to see what the reaction would be like. And so that is why the reaction that's come back has meant so much to me. And it's funny because sometimes one of you will ask a question on Facebook, and I'll see it and I'll reply, and you guys will say well, Ollie, thanks so much for replying, and I can't believe you replied and stuff. But that's what I want to do. I want to be the person who's there replying and helping out and doing that stuff. That's what I really want to be able to do. Often I can't, because I have so many things going on that I can't be, I've actually deleted Facebook from my phone, because if I'd spend all my time on there, then I don't get anything else done. So I'm not always able to answer questions and things in Facebook as quickly as I'd like. But that's what I want to be doing, and what I'm going to try to be spending more of my time doing. But the reason I say that is because a lot of you guys, I think, you follow the podcast, you read the blog, you see my emails, and you consider me to be this person that's kind of distant. We don't have apart from a few cases, we don't really have a personal relationship, and so you see me as this person that's kind of making this stuff and sending it out. And if you are one of the people that's left a comment or left your reaction on Facebook or elsewhere, you might think that I don't read these things or it doesn't get through to me, but trust me, it does. And I see all of this stuff, and I wanted to say to all of you guys that reading the reaction to conversations has really touched me, because it's just been so positive. So what I wanted to do is actually just read out a few things that people have been leaving here, to give you an idea. Well, just to tell you about what elements of it mean the most to me. So Rob said, I've purchased Conversations for the Spanish language. It really is exactly what I wanted it to be. Even though I know 98% of the words and expressions within the dialogue, I only understood approximately 15% of the audio listening to it for the first time. This is a fantastic piece of work, and I do not believe anyone has done anything like it before. With other material, there is a huge portion missing between high A2 and low B2. Olly's filled the gap with enjoyable stories and high-quality audio. Gabby says, I'm listening to it now. Absolutely love it. Perfect for me. Thank you so much. Will says, bought them today, just got done listening to the first conversation again. I really dig it. It's at the perfect level for me right now. And then Jackie says, still working on the first conversation in Spanish. I love it. Took me 4 listening sessions and my brain is starting to separate the words. For me, this is a breakthrough. So that's a little sample of what people have been saying there. And the reason that I appreciate this so much is because it's doing exactly what I intended it to do. It's about the listening. It's about listening to stuff that at first you think is too hard for you, but then you listen again and again and again, and then the cloud starts to lift, and it starts to make sense. And that that feeling of confidence that you get when that starts to happen is really special. And I've managed to experience that in my languages at different points. And I want the same thing for you. And that's what I was trying to do with conversations. And so all I can say is I'm just delighted that you have actually, that it's doing what it was supposed to do. And I couldn't be happier. Now, the effect that this has had on me is actually to make me start to reconsider what I'm doing with I Will Teach You a Language. When I first started my blog back in 2013, and I still remember the day that I was sitting in a cafe in Qatar, and I was reading a book, and someone mentioned Benny Lewis from Fluent in 3 Months, and I had never heard of him before, so I went on the website and I looked at Fluent in 3 Months and thought, wow, this is great. Hey, I know some stuff about languages. Maybe I can do something like this too. And I started up this free WordPress blog and just wrote my first few articles, which were rubbish, of course. I still remember that day really clearly. And my intention with that, what I wanted to do was talk about languages, like what I do on the podcast here, discuss language learning, teach people effective methods for learning. I never really thought that I would move into the area of creating language learning materials. But I guess that was simply because I hadn't had enough time to actually work with people and hear what kind of problems, get ideas for what kind of materials could be created. But the thing is, I've just realized now, having been through this process with conversations, that I'm in a pretty unique position because I have, on the website, we have 150,000 people a month coming to the website. The podcast has thousands of downloads for every episode. I am in a unique position to hear from a lot of people and to really to have an insight into the kind of problems that people have, the kind of challenges they face that a lot of other people don't have. And so it really occurred to me that, there's not many people out there in the world, even, big publishers. They don't have this kind of feedback loop. They just produce stuff. They do some market research and all that stuff. But I'm in a pretty unique position to be working with language learners around the world and to form these ideas about what I could make. And I'm a pretty creative person as well. So this is what I like to do. I'm sort of in my element with this stuff. And so it occurred to me that really, probably moving forward with my work, the best thing that I have to offer the world is probably creating more materials like conversations for different aspects of language learning, for grammar, for speaking, for writing, whatever it may be. My books of short stories as well have been fantastically popular. And it's just the pennies are starting to drop for me, I think. I'm just starting to think, well, hang on, people are loving these short stories, they're loving the conversations. This is obviously what is helping people, what they like, and the bonus, of course, is that I really, really love making it. And so it's really making me start to reconsider what I do and what I'm going to be moving forward with in the future. And all of this is because of you guys. It's because of the idea came because of the questions that you asked me. The products came with a lot of help and feedback from you guys, and now my confidence and conviction in conversations and what I'm doing comes from the feedback that you've offered me. So thank you, really. I really mean that. Now, a few specific questions. Some people have asked, why is there no English version? Good question. The reason is, well, there's a couple of reasons. First of all, Conversations is aimed at intermediate level learners, and if you are listening to this as an English learner, the chances are your English is better than that. You're probably more like B2, C1, fairly advanced. So I didn't think that Conversations being at the level that it is would be suitable. However, a lot of people have messaged me and written to me saying, why is there no English version? And it's made me think, so maybe I need to reconsider. Maybe an English version would be something that we can do. If you would like that, maybe just drop me an email if that's something that you would like. If you want me to create the English version, let me know. The other reason is that if I make the English version, what language do I put the translation in? Spanish, Portuguese, Italian. I can't do the translation in 10 different languages. So it would just be the English by itself with no help and supporting material. And I don't know. I just don't know whether that's how helpful that is. There just seem to be too many roadblocks for me to make an easy decision about that. But, like I say, do let me know if that's something that you would really like, and I'm very happy to do it, because it would be fairly straightforward for me to produce the English version. We have it already, to be honest. It's just a question of organising the recording, which is no small feat, but it's doable. Some people have already asked, will there be a volume 2 of Conversations? Because I don't want to say too much, because I know many of you will be going through it right now, and I don't want to give it away. But someone have asked, as I think Curon asks yesterday actually, if you made a volume 2, I'd be beating down the door to get hold of it. Well, who knows? I mean, there's certainly the potential to continue the story and the plot line from Conversations. One practical difficulty would be, would I be able to get the same 36 voice actors to come in and record it? I think that's unlikely. I live in London. I did this in London, and people tend to move around. So I don't know. I would have to think carefully about it. But, I think that's something that maybe in a few months' time, once the dust has settled, is something that we could potentially look at. Also, for those of you who did purchase Conversations and you're going through it now, there will inevitably be the odd error, or something in the wrong place, or I don't know what, because of a project of this size, 6 languages, tons and tons, each PDF is over 100 pages. There will be little slips there, here and there. So please do let me know about these things. I'm meticulously collecting all the feedback, and we'll go through a process of implementing all this feedback a little bit further down the line. The way to do that is not to email me, please, because honestly, I get so much email now that it's very difficult to manage. Inside the member area for Conversation, there's a link that says click here to leave feedback. And what you can do is that you can actually leave the feedback on a form. And what that means is I get all the feedback in one place, in one big Google form, so that when I come to review it, I can see everybody's feedback in one place, which is just, it saves me hours and hours and hours of time kind of trying to go back through my email and stuff like that. So please do let me know about any feedback that you have. If there's a spelling mistake here or there, let me know. It will all be fixed. And of course, everyone will receive updated versions when they're finished. So yeah, more broadly, I don't know if you guys remember, but at the beginning of this year, I actually released an episode saying what to expect from me in 2017. And I realized, as I was talking to a friend of mine the other day, that actually, with Conversations, I have now completed my plan for 2017. Everything I wanted to create and do has been done, and a bit more besides. And I feel... and I know I'm asking you to be quite indulgent here, just listening to me talking, but I feel really proud of the stuff that we've managed to do this year. We've created a Spanish beginners course, which has again had fantastic feedback. I've released a new series of Kindle books with French foundations that was released a couple of weeks ago. We started Languages of London, a new community for people that love languages in London. Released a British Sign Language course, which wasn't planned, but we did that anyway. And now with Conversations, that is now... we ran the Montreal Language Festival, of course, in August. And then with Conversations, that kind of completes the year. And there's one more surprise to come a couple of weeks from now, where the website will be totally rebranded. Not rebranded, will be totally redone. And a brand spanking new website for iwillteachyoualanguage.com will be unveiled. So have a look out for that very soon. The current website is about 1 million years out of date, so it's about time it had a bit of a facelift. So I have to say, drawing towards the end of the year, I'm feeling pretty positive. I'm feeling grateful to have such an amazing community. I'm feeling exhausted from all the work, but above all, really, really positive to see what we're going to be able to do next year, what we're going to be able to achieve, and the impact we're going to be able to make on the language learning world. So thank you from me. We will be getting back to normal in the next episode, so stick around and don't go anywhere. We've got some great questions lined up that are coming through. I'm going to leave you with a quote today from Zig Ziglar, and this is something that it speaks to me right now, in light of all the things that I've been talking about in this episode. But I think it's also very, very important to remember with language learning, because there's never really an end point with language learning. You develop and adapt as a person as you learn languages. And anyway, here's the quote. What you get by achieving your goals is not as important as what you become by achieving your goals. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you soon.
Thanks for listening to today's episode, and in case you didn't already know, I teach languages in a rather unusual way through stories. Now, stories are a great way to learn a new language because when you're engrossed in a story, you remember things more easily, and the mechanics of the language just start clicking inside your brain. It's quite something, and if you'd like to find out how you can learn a new language or improve your skills in a language that you already know and do it with the power of stories, then you should check out my free Story Learning Kit, which will teach you exactly how this method works and how you can use it yourself to learn a new language. Visit storylearning.com/podkit, that's PODKIT, to get free access. Inside, you'll find explanatory videos, masterclasses, worksheets, short stories to practice with, and much, much more. Once again, that is storylearning.com/podkit, PODKIT. And if you're lucky, you might also find a link in the podcast description or show notes of this episode.